Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easy to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard may control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. You know, and the concussions I've got, and I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, you know, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back.
Lights are bright on Friday night.
Well, I know one thing for sure. 4A Division II is going to have two new teams in the state championship. Hello, everybody. It's Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Sideline to sideline, the 4A edition. Regional round, Thanksgiving. It's the, I don't know how long this has been one of those football goals. I remember, you know, in East Texas in the 80s, you talked about the third round and the Thanksgiving. But I don't know. This is kind of like the Final Four in college basketball. I've always contended that just making the Final Four sometimes is just as big as winning the national championship. And I'm not saying that making it Thanksgiving is as big, but this is a pretty traditional mark for a great season.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, a lot of programs, what do they say? Our first goal is to win district, right? Mm-hmm. And our second goal is to be practicing on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And here we are on Thanksgiving. And all these teams, some of them we expected, some of them we did not expect, are practicing on Thanksgiving. And that's a big deal, man. That is a real big deal.
Well, and one of the things that's a real big deal that people don't really think about, it's the extra practices. I mean, this is how traditionally great teams become great, because they've got, you know, I mean, we're talking about the whole high school. Your ninth graders can practice right now. You know, all of them. You're running scout team. They're getting, you know, real snaps and stuff. And also,
how do you think the Carthages and the Franklins and all of them get there? It's because they get an extra season every year, you know, because they're so good and they make it so far. And they have all those extra practices, and it's huge. And that's not, you know, a lot of people don't think about that, but that is a big reason and a big factor into why these teams are as good as they are year in and year out. Now at times they, you know, eventually they fizzle out, but I mean, you make Thanksgiving and the week after, you have all those extra practices, and your young guys that are coming up to replace those seniors all of a sudden now have all that extra time under their belt, yeah, it absolutely makes a program.
Well, you know, the funny thing is a lot of times the teams that kind of peter out, they'll say it got to the point where it was too many games, like, you know, just so many games every year, you know, especially when you're always making it to the state finals or the state semifinals.
Man, you're 15, 16, 17 years old. You can bounce back.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're not like us,
I think
or
that's
not like you.
I think that's one of the. Yeah,
I can bounce back after a workout.
Dude, I sneeze and I'm out for 2 weeks. So I'm just being honest with you there. Anyway, this is Sideline to Sideline, the Class 4A edition, right here on L4 Media. We do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We're going to be traveling, but this week we're not going to be in a 4A game. Unfortunately, this will be the first time in a while that we don't get to do the double day, but that's just because every 4A through 2A game got scheduled on Thursday somehow perfectly this year.
Yeah, but we still get 2 great games on Friday after Thanksgiving this week.
Yeah, Huntington versus Karnak. Oh, wait,
what is it? Malakoff versus
Jefferson. Rematch of 4 years ago.
Yeah, on Friday at 2:00 in Tyler. And then after that, we'll head up to Mount Pleasant to see Honey Grove and Wascom.
I think the Jefferson-Malakoff game is almost the exact same time and same place as it was in 2018, because I was at that game. That's when it was 31-21, but it never felt that close because you were doing fine.
I don't know. It's just sinking a little bit.
What is it that you do to that? Anyway, but
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, do we want to? I don't know. We'll let the crowd decide. Anyway, speaking of people we don't want to hear from, Coach X. Oh, wrong one. Coach X, since we start, by the way, if this is the first time you listen to the show, we have a coach who's used to be a real coach. He's Coach X. He writes in stupid stuff and all that. But also, we do our shows a little different in the playoffs. We're going to run through Division I and then take a break and then run through Division II. So we do Coach X earlier, and he only picks a couple games. So this is what Coach X has to say for this one. So the voice of the people have an adversary. No, I'm not talking about that guy on Smokey from Lindell, although he is a tool. I'm talking about a certain tree on a certain show that's certainly not Grant, but a talking tree that only shows up during the playoffs. Hey, playoff tree, get ready. I have found an old priest and a young priest. The power of the playoffs compels you. The power of the playoffs he's trying to exercise Coach.
You know, I sit here and I listen to Coach's X diatribe every week, and it's like having basically a front row seat to a train wreck, just seeing somebody's life unravel before your eyes, and I just shake my head every time I hear these diatribes. You know, you give a guy enough rope, he just hangs himself. I mean, I kind of honestly just pray for Coach X, because things just can't be going right again. You're arguing with a tree.
Sorry, I had a coach that was answering me. Sorry. Coach Brady Carney of Munster. Welcome to the 4A show. We're trying to type up. Anyway, can I finish or what now?
Does he have more of a...
We've just gotten started, dude.
Oh, okay.
Then you say something about my favorite team giving fellatios in Hades. Who was Playoff Tree talking about?
I don't know, but listen, here. I've got to tell you. We've got Coach X with his petty little life, right? Selling Blockbuster tapes and all that kind of stuff up in the Northwest. And here I am living pretty much a high-profile lifestyle. You know, it wasn't too long ago that Matt Stepp and I, from Dave Campbell's Texas High School football, went out and we hung out at Hugh Hefner's place.
First off, I want to say happy birthday to Matt. His birthday, I think, was earlier this week. Also, Stepp has said that his favorite part of our shows are Playoff Tree. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but you stayed at Hugh Hefner's place?
Okay, wait. Check that. It wasn't Hugh Hefner. It's Hugh Heffer's
place.
Wait. What? Hugh Heffer? Is this like a knockoff? Like a, who the hell's Hugh Heffer?
No, I'm sorry. I got them mixed up. Hugh Hefner, I would have loved to have stayed at his place. I know Matt would have, but it was Hugh Heffer, which is basically, he was the mascot out in Hereford for years.
Wait, so it was Hugh Heffer, the whiteface?
Yeah, Hugh Heffer, not Hugh Hefner.
Now, I do want to say,
we hung out at his barn, had a great time, a lot of chicks there, and it was great.
Was his barn called Jaguars? in Abilene.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we got a lot of. You remember seeing the old Urban Meyer thing at the bar in Columbus, Ohio? That's what. Well, I wasn't getting as much love because I'm a tree, but Matt Stepp, and he was getting a lot of lap love, if you know what I mean.
Now, so what people might not understand about Playoff Tree is, you know, Playoff Tree's the mascot of our show, and he kind of runs in, you know, mascot circles. So you probably will hear for the next however long Playoff Tree lasts through the years, there'll probably be many more mascot stories. But hey, let me, okay, wait.
I just want to remind you, though, you know, again, I think I told you my story a few weeks ago in the first round playoff show, how Stanford is the Cardinal, but yet I had enough high profile eyes on me where I was able to actually go into Stanford and put, instead of a Cardinal on their helmet, a tree. A tree. And a tree's walking their mascot. That's basically me.
That was that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, it was going to be a Cardinal. They had the St. Louis Cardinal. I remember they were doing like the Titanic painting of the Cardinal because that's what's going to be on the helmet. And then, you know, Playoff Tree jumps in and says, no, how about if we did the Cardinals, but we're the tree? Look, Auburn's the Tigers, but they have the War Eagle.
Yeah, exactly. And then you throw it, I'm hanging out with Hugh Heffer and Hereford with Matt Stepp, of all people. Pretty good life I'm living. And then here we got Coach X arguing with me when he can't even win a football game and gets ran out of town and is having to, I don't know, live out of an F-150 traveling the West Coast, which, my God, the West Coast is great. It's pretty, but he's homeless. He's living in a homeless encampment, which kind of defines the West Coast right now. So, yeah, you know.
He's over there crawling around with needles stuck in his arm. He's not even through yet.
I think Playoff Tree is a little harsh on Coach X. Coach X comes at him pretty hard.
So do you know what the scary thing is?
What?
There is an outside chance that Coach X might be in studio for at least one of the state championship watching parties. I might have to keep them separated.
Yeah, I don't.
Coach X might have to be in the living room studio the whole time and just have to put a camera out there.
But would it not be awesome to see him wrestling with an inanimate object?
Whoa, Playoff Tree. He did not mean you.
I mean, you're not inanimate.
Coach X is inanimate.
What? Yeah.
Coach X is inanimate. Let me finish what Coach X has to say. Then you say something about my favorite team giving fellatio in Hades. Well, that joke is on you. My favorite team didn't make the playoffs, so suck on that, which is also the name of your sex tape. Wait, that's okay. Anyway, Tree, you think you're so cool with your devil voice and your branches, but guess what? You suck. And that's what Coach X has to say. All right, can we now actually get into some football stuff?
Let's do what we're here for, right?
Well, it sounds like me and you're here to mediate. By the way, Chuck Woolery passed away this past week.
Oh, I know.
I think maybe we should do that if Coach X 2-2. I think if Coach X is in studio.
Did you ever wipe one out as a kid on some of the girl dates?
Okay, so we started a little later than we normally do.
What?
And the juices are flowing a little flowider because it's Thanksgiving.
I mean, I didn't. If you did, I didn't.
Anyway.
I just figured there was a lot of people that did.
I was going to say, why don't I might need to do them as a love connection. Maybe that'll help, break the ice with them too. That's what I was trying to say.
Set me up with a tree or something.
All right. Yeah, there, buddy.
Well, I can't do that. We're like brothers.
We did have some saplings show up out of nowhere. Anyway.
Drop a pine cone or two.
Let's go out to Class 4A Division I. I promise you, folks, if this is the first time we do talk football, this is one of those big West Texas rivalries you always, every year we're like, man, if we can just see Lampasas versus West Plains, our day is done. But no, this legitimately is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, it is. Two great quarterbacks in Lampasas quarterback Reed Jerome, who's a dual threat quarterback, Reed Macon, both Reeds, by the way, for West Plains, 2,700 yards passing. West Plains had a really good running back in Slade Russell, about 1,300 yards rushing. Lampasas quarterback or receiver Ty Johnson, a really nice deep threat for Reed Jerome. It's really about the defenses, right? I think the defense for Lampasas haven't been great statistically, but I think they played a tougher schedule, played against a few tougher teams. Canyon is in that district, though, where, they're one of 3 Canyon teams that can beat up on each other. So this is a tough one to call. I like Lampasas in this game, though.
Yeah, I do, too. Low real quick. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Hang on. Fuck. Check 1, 2. No, we're still going. Okay. 3, 2. Yeah, you talk about West Plains and they started the year off losing to Seminole 56-21. They lose to Bushland 28-15. They lose to Argyle Christian 56-7. No shame in any of those. Those are all 3 solid teams. But all 3 of those teams, when you think of them, you think quarterback.
Right.
And you think of what they can do with the quarterback. And so when I see that and I look at what Lampasas has done, I think this is a really, really close game. All of them should be at this point. I mean, there'll be a couple. There's always a couple blowouts. But I think Lampasas wins. I think they win by about 14 points.
Yeah, I agree. All right, they'll take on the winner of Canyon Randall versus Stephenville Friday in Snyder. Give me Stephenville. I think Stephenville, look, Canyon Randall, nice record, right? But I think Stephenville right now is on a mission. I think it's going to be hard to deny a semifinal game of Stephenville versus Salina, right?
I mean, and that's just one of
How
those.
else do you see it?
No, I mean that's just I still contend, and we're saying
and maybe
this.
Sulphur Springs or Alvarado actually have a say in that.
Well, and again, we're saying this a week after. I still think one of the prohibitive favorites in LBJ gets just completely upset by a power running team that played keep away from them.
Say on that one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that one here. But I'm still going to contend that if Salina doesn't make the state championship this year, that will be one of the biggest surprises that since we've been covering the sport.
Well, whoever causes Salina not to make a state championship is a big bad hombre. But we saw Alvarado pull one out last week. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go down to Region 2. Sulphur Springs versus Alvarado at Mesquite Memorial on Friday, 7:30. What a game this is going to be. We were at that Alvarado Panther Creek game where Alvarado pulled it out in double overtime.
That was one of those playoff magics. It looked like Panther Creek had the game won 2 or 3 different times.
One of the best games I've seen in 10 years.
Well, because it was, you and I talk about this. It was a higher scoring game, but it wasn't because the defense was terrible.
Right.
It was that the the 2 offenses were just so good.
It looked like Alvarado was going to run Panther Creek out of the stadium in the first quarter, right? And then Panther Creek started fighting their way back in the second half. And then, DeMarcus Belton, the running back for Alvarado, was dominating in the first half. Got hurt, tweaked an ankle, I think it was, late in the midway to late in the second quarter. And after that, Panther Creek was starting to fight their way through. If DeMarcus Belton is 100% healthy, along with Cardia Collier, quarterback for Alvarado, they will win this game against Sulphur Springs. Though Sulphur Springs, if DeMarcus Belton is not healthy 100%, I think they got a chance because they can match what Alvarado does if Belton's not just killing them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Caden Mitchell, quarterback, Jackson Hare, running back, Skylar Lewis at receiver. Very talented Sulphur Springs offense. I just don't know if that Sulphur Springs defense is going to be able to handle Collier and Belton.
You remember the one other time that Sulphur Springs won a state championship?
Gosh, that was
2009.
Against, who was that?
They beat Dayton or Crosby. I can't remember which one.
But not in the state championship.
Yeah, they did. It was Dayton or Crosby. Yeah, because
okay.
we broadcast them in Everman that year.
Yeah.
But you remember that team won state with legitimately no defense? They gave up like 55 points or something like that in the state championship game. Mm-hmm. I think some teams can do that. And I'm starting to kind of come around with Sulphur Springs doing that and I know Panther Creek beat them just a few weeks ago really, really bad. But when you want to start comparing who's played who, I still contend Alvarado's toughest team was Panther Creek of the year.
It was, absolutely.
Sulphur Springs has been tested a couple times.
Might have been a tough one, right?
But that one kind of feels weird.
Exit the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think that's Alvarado's second toughest game, right?
Yeah.
But I still, just going by the eye test, I've seen Sulphur Springs and I've seen Alvarado both,
Yeah.
right, in person. Give me Alvarado. As long as DeMarcus Belton is healthy, they win this football game because I don't think Sulphur Springs can handle Belton.
No, I actually agree with you. I just wanted to point that out.
But he might not be 100%.
I think Sulphur Springs kind of learned something last week in that Springtown game, and that's like, hey, we'll just have to outscore them. That's fine. You only have to outscore 4 more opponents, so let's go do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can Alvarado. I know this is very, we can point to 1,000 teams that have did what Alvarado did last week and have a comeback, look like basically 1 first down away from losing. But man, that starts to that magical stuff, that playoff magic, and it just feels like Alvarado has that right now. I think this is going to be way closer than I don't say what people. I don't know what people say in this. I think it's going to be a close game.
It's going to be close.
But I think Alvarado wins. I think it's a 45-42 type of game.
Yeah, Look, I don't necessarily think that Sulphur Springs is any better than Panther Creek. And I think Panther Creek was a better football team than Sulphur Springs.
Oh, yeah.
So as Alvarado, as long as they show up healthy, they win this football game, and they get their rematch or potential rematch of the winner of Salina and Aubrey Friday over at Collins Stadium at 3 o'clock?
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Early start.
A rematch of district foes. In fact, we said 7-4A Division I was the toughest district in the state in 4A Division I, and 3 teams are alive with 1 team. Basically, it's taking a walk-off overtime field goal to do. This was a drubbing 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, 49-10. It will not be that bad. I think Aubrey has it. I mean, just showing how when they lost to Panther Creek 3 weeks ago, 41-40, how much they've grown. But this is just not a good matchup. Salina is just on a different level right now.
They really are on a different level, and it's going to take a massive fart and fall for Salina to really
again, though, folks,
give it up.
Point to last week, LBJ and Lavernia, same thing.
I know.
No, I'm just saying. I just we got to have that caveat. But as I said earlier, I think Salina is. I don't really see anybody contending with Salina this year.
Right now, I don't as well. All right, but I think Salina Stephenville would be one heck of a matchup.
Yeah, it's still going to be a blow for blow knockout type match.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Region 3. Man, we're going through these quick. Kilgore 10-2 versus Navasota 7-5. This game's Friday at Corsicana Tiger Stadium. They'll play the winner of Chapel Hill 9-3 versus Stafford 8-4. That game.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to start real quick.
Go ahead.
How impressed I am with Navasota getting that win over Lindale. I think a lot of people had written Navasota off.
I don't even think we barely talked about the game last week.
Didn't, because the Rattlers were just kind of the same old one and done type team, and here they are in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
beating a really good Lindale
team that was way better than what people think because of their record, but you had to see who they played, not only in that district, but in that non-district as well.
Yeah, but Kilgore, one of their big wins, opened up the season at a game we were at against Carthage. Carthage was a little beat up that game, but came out of that game with a win over Carthage.
Yeah.
Carthage's only loss. Give me Kilgore, but I think this one could be close. Great venue, by the way, in Corsicana.
Oh, yeah. Very underrated venue. I look at Navasota, and they're one of those classic teams that every one of their losses are really good losses.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you start to doubt, maybe they're better than the record. But then I go, but they don't really have until last week. And you can still debate where Lindale was. Until last week, they didn't have what I would consider a real quality win. I just think Kilgore's again, talking like Salina, I think Kilgore's on a different level than Navasota.
Kilgore defense, man.
Exactly. I kind of see this.
The running game as well.
I kind of see this playing out like the Needville game we saw last year where, and I still contend the only reason Needville was able to stay within 2 touchdowns was Kilgore's quarterback got hurt. But Kilgore just overpowered them eventually.
Yeah.
I could see Navasota hanging around early, hit a big play here or two. But eventually, you're going to have that. You're going to have to beat their front on both sides. And you can't beat them 50-50. You got to win on both sides of the line if you're going to pull this upset off. And I just can't see that happening.
Yeah,
unless Kilgore just becomes turnover machine. And those always can happen in playoffs, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah. All right. They'll take on the winner of Chapel Hill and Stafford Friday and Randall Reed Stadium in New Caney, 2 p.m. Chapel Hill, Malik McGee, quarterback, has really stepped in. He's not killing everybody with his arm, but man, he is making them respect him in the running game. And when you throw Ricky Stewart into the running game, who is one of the best running backs in all of Class 4A, if not the state, you got a problem on your hands defensively.
Well, I also have to ask, and look, please don't anybody take this as a knock on who the quarterback normally is. Very athletic, very fun to watch, but was also turnover prone. Mm-hmm. They haven't been quite as turnover prone. And it feels like they have found a kind of a...
He's taking care of the ball.
Yeah, and they found a little flow on offense where... Well, it helps, like you say, when you have Ricky Stewart. And to be fair, and again, this is no knock on Chapel Hill. Your playoff run hasn't been the toughest, but
Hupp and Hargrave was not an easy out round one.
Oh no, it wasn't an easy out.
I had Huffman coming out of that game as a winner. So,
I can't remember if I think I did too, actually. But I'm just saying, nobody was looking at Huffman Hargrave as a region favorite. Nobody was looking at Houston Worthing as a region favorite. Nobody's looking at Stafford as a region favorite, But hey, this is not a knock. You play who you play in front of you. There's nothing else you can do in the playoffs. Yeah. I think Chapel Hill actually. I know a lot of people are kind of on the Stafford might pull off the second upset. I think this is where that Chapel. I know this is going to sound crazy, folks. Chapel Hill's going to out physical Stafford.
I think so, but you got to remember, Stafford's got a really good quarterback in Zach Brown, Jareer Nelson at receiver, have put up a lot of points. Their defense has left a little bit to be desired, right? But offensively, I think Stafford, the Spartans, can move the ball against anybody. And Chapel Hill's defense has not been, lighting it up.
I don't want to – okay, so, again, this is that tough part about where they play. Their defense has looked bad at times, but they held Port Lavaca Calhoun, who's still alive, to 13 points.
Yeah, that's a good showing.
They held Navasota to 7 points. Navasota's still there. Yeah. They held Pine Tree last week to 13 points.
Navasota scored 56 against a pretty good Lindell.
Yeah,
defense.
But then they also do have they gave up 34 to Fannett, and they gave up 30 to Belleville, and they gave up 28 to Fort Bend Crawford. And that was kind of that weird, that game came out of nowhere. I still think Chapel Hill wins, but I do think Stafford, hangs around. But I
think this game could be close though, for sure.
Yeah. No, I
think
totally
this
agree with
one
that.
of those games that's could be a shocker, and you might see Stafford come out the winner. But I'm taking Chapel Hill in this one in a very close one. Not be surprised to see the Spartans win, though.
All right, let's go to Region 4 to end Division 1. We got Lavernia 9-3 versus Port Lavaca Calhoun 7-5 Friday at Katy Legacy Stadium, 2 p.m. This is the game we all knew was going to happen, right? This is the one everybody knew.
I did. Look, Lavernia, no. Actually, yeah. So Lavernia pulling off the huge upset over LBJ.
Did you see how they did it?
Not necessarily.
Play keep away.
A little bit, yeah.
Keep away. Power football.
Lavernia, if you go back and look, they have one of the best offensive lines in the state of Texas.
They are huge.
And their defensive line, which is a lot of those offensive linemen, is pretty salty as well. That's how they held LBJ to their lowest point output of the season, right, by far. But, yeah, playing keep away behind one of the best offensive lines in the state. Who's going to bet against that, right? Calhoun's been great. Good offensive line. But Lavernia, when they can control the pace and control the game, they're going to be hard to beat. Give me Lavernia over Calhoun in a close one, though.
Well, Calhoun won in the district matchup 22-20. So I'm going to stick with the Sand Crabs, but I feel this is as 50-50 of a game as there is. I know we say this, all games come down to turnovers, but let's be fair. We've seen a team like Dangerfield turn the ball over 4 times in the region semifinal and still win by 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Sometimes that really doesn't matter. It will matter in this game.
I think this was a springboard, this Lavernia win over LBJ, one of the best teams in 4A Division I, and Lavernia's offensive line getting to show their prowess. This is a springboard for this Lavernia Bear team. Give me Lavernia. I think they're on a mission now.
Oh, I think we have a Coach X thing here. Sorry, I forgot about that. Why did I pick a Region 4 team to talk about? Because much like Terry at a singles mixer, they seem to get no action. Makes me think of 40-year-old version there, Coach X. And Port Lavaca, just like Grant, has crabs. So go hand in hand. Lavernia defense is going to shave up and use that special shampoo on Lavaca. But just like Grant, in Grant's case, the crabs won't go away.
Why am I getting picked on?
Lavaca moves on. Well, you did once read your crab reports on the air, so maybe that's why. Anyway, so he has. So I don't now see now. I doubt my pick of Lavaca because he has Lavaca, so I'm a little worried about that now.
Oh, you need to go to Lavernia.
I'm gonna. This is the one time I'm going with the team that won in the first matchup wins in the second matchup. There's no again. This is as 50-50 in my opinion as you can get. All right, let's finish up Division 1 with a tasty matchup.
Yeah.
Bay City 11-1 versus Corpus Christi Cal Allen 10-2. This game is 7 p.m. Friday at Converse's Rutledge Stadium. You know,
is the Cal Allen defense athletic enough to shut down or at least slow down the Bay City offense? I think Bay City's defense will not stop Cal Allen 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Can that Cal Allen defense, are they athletic enough and speedy enough to set the edge and shut down the Bay City offense? Because Bay City's got weapons all over the field offensively.
Yeah, no, and you know, I will say this.
Edna had it, right?
Yeah, well, and Edna not only had athletes, but I also think with Bay City, you can get them into turnovers. If I remember correct, they turned the ball over 5 times in that Edna game. But when you look at I will give Cal Allen this: their 2 losses were not defensive related. You know what I mean? They lost 27-21 and 27-13. Again, in today's high school or any football, really, 27 points is still a decent defensive outing. I don't think their athleticism on offense will score enough. I think Bay City athletically will be able to hurt Cal Allen offensively as much as Bay City's offense can hurt Cal Allen. I think Bay City wins this by 14 points.
Could be, yeah. I could see that.
I could kind of see this game getting away.
10, but yeah, maybe 14. Yeah.
All right. That's Division 1 in the books. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll do all the same thing again in 4A Division 2 right here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition brought to you by Newer Guard Plus on L4 Media.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easy to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. You know, and with concussions I've got, you know, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, you know, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back.
Aliens.
Terry Bennett.
Aliens are calling me. Have you never seen that?
Oh my
before?
God! Sideline to side. This has been one of those. This is
Are we
the
on the air?
yes.
Oh.
This is the first show of the night, too, folks. So if you know how this really works, when we joke that it's the third show, and you first listen to this, you'll be like,
If
"Oh,
you get
this."
a voicemail and it's a series of clicks, does that not tell you? Just saying.
Where to
we're
send
not
my money.
alone. Or why are they asking you for money?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a Nigerian prince. You think
No,
it's
no,
aliens?
that was like-
Supposedly, I mean, not on cell phones, but supposedly back in the day, if you had a landline, if you picked it up and you heard click, click, that meant your phone was bugged.
Oh, maybe it's the government.
Or your wife. You gotta
My wife's
stop.
not smart enough.
You
to
gotta
bug my
stop
phone.
telling her you're going
You can't
to
bug a cell phone.
You can't. Well, yeah, you can, but
No,
you can't. You gotta.
How do you know you can bug a cell phone?
Your wife asked me to.
Oh,
I mean, you can't be telling her you're going to church and then on Instagram posting, nipple shots. I'm just telling you, dude. She doesn't.
why would I post my nipples?
I said nipple shots, like shots on breast.
Oh, not nipples.
like Urban
Oh,
Meyer,
hey,
as you
here's
talk.
my nipple. That would be stupid.
On our, if you're watching the show and you're not listening, on our thing is our playoff things, and there's the big lazy dog kettle logo. He's listening now, going, take the logo off, take the logo off. All right, let's get into Class 4A division.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about nipples anymore on the show.
Okay, don't talk about nipples anymore.
You brought the nipples up.
Okay, the one time in 17 years that I'm the one that brought the nipples up.
Okay, when have I brought nipples up?
We used to have you literally used to have
We
a
didn't have a
segment.
nipple segment. No.
It was just the tip.
But that's okay.
Oh, well, hey.
I came up with just a tip
Wait, what?
segment, but I didn't condone it being on the air. You said that's a great idea. I was like, no, we shouldn't do it.
I just
And
want to
then
say,
you're
I just want to say one thing. I'm usually the cleaner one of the two.
Are you?
I've seen.
Are you the-
Hang on. I've seen nipples big enough that it could be just the tip. Anyway, let's go to Class 4A Division 2. We're gonna start in the
next on our show, Ariella
Ariella
Grande.
Grande.
Those are some big areolas, ma'am. Let's talk football.
First show. Benbrook 11-1 versus Brock 11-1. This game's Friday, 7 p.m. at Godley's Wildcat Stadium. Yeah, it's.
Asked me last year, I would say Brock wipes.
Dude,
the
I was just about to
field
say
with
that.
Benbrook.
Even if you did ask me at the beginning of the year, if Benbrook and Brock played, who wins? Well, Brock by 5-6 touchdowns. They can name their score.
Benbrook's big up front and
Very
they got a
big.
hell of a running game.
Hell of a running game. They're patient with that running game, which in today's game I think is so underrated. Hey, if you get them 3 and out, 4 drives. Now, of course, if you're up 28-0, but if you get them 3 drives in a row, 4 and out, they're fine with that.
Yeah.
They're still going
Yeah.
to use that front in the fourth quarter when it matters most.
Yeah, so you've seen them, watched them online too?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
very impressed with them.
Very impressed
Saw
with the
them
Bobcats.
against Graham. Now I will admit.
Did you watch the holiday game as well?
Yeah, that was when I first was like, okay. And I remember we had talked about Benbrook on the 4A show, and we had been told, hey, they're going to be really, really solid. But that Holiday win, and it wasn't that they beat Holiday. I mean, Benbrook's a 4A Division 2. Holiday's a 3A Division 2.
But
they
if it's
should.
the same old Benbrook,
Yeah, and
you would have.
But
they would have lost.
it was that they pushed Holiday around. A
Right.
Holiday team that is still standing,
Right.
and a Holiday team that I think is gaining steam as, you know what? They could beat Gunther this year type of thing. And
Whoa,
Benbrook
whoa,
pushed
whoa,
them
whoa.
around. We'll talk about that in the 3A show.
Okay.
But I will say, though, I paused at the Glenrose game because Glenrose, a team that can't stop anybody, held them to 14 points. That is still a little bit of a concern. Now, if somebody knows and hey, we were, we had 3 guys out, or we had our, let us know.
Right.
Grant and Terry at S2Sport.com. But I'm just saying that was a little bit of a concern. But man, what they've done in the playoffs, and especially what they did last week against a Greenwood team that I thought was up and coming, and it finally kind of found their flow in motion.
They had.
And to be
found their
fair,
flow.
it's not like Greenwood played a bad game. It was-
Benbrook is just that good. That
Yes.
being said, I'm taking Brock in this game.
and I still think Brock
I
wins
think
comfortable.
Brock can match up outside of Graham. Graham pushed them around,
And-
right?
and that's a game,
but I think Benbrook is still not to Graham Brock
Exactly, that's what I was
level,
about to say.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they're close, and I think they're close enough to make Brock really fight for this game. I mean, this is not going to be a blowout.
I kind of think it will be.
I think Brock can pull away towards the end.
Yeah, okay,
But I think
okay,
this
yeah,
is
that's
gonna
fair.
be. I think
That's
this is going to be nip and tuck, for three and a half quarters. Oh, nip. I got you. Why are we talking about nipples?
I don't know, dude. We have a couple comparison games.
Okay.
And again, folks, this is just comparison, kind of a calibrate, but not make a pick. Actually, we have 3. So, Mineral Wells, Benbrook beat Mineral Wells 35-24. Brock beat Mineral Wells 21-0. Benbrook beat Eastern Hills 28-6.
Hey, take Eastern Hills out.
No, hang on.
Okay.
You don't, because here's why. They Brock beat Eagle Mountain. I'm sorry, Eastern. I meant Eagle Mountain. Sorry. Now I see what you mean. I read that wrong. They beat Eagle Mountain 28-24. Brock beat Eagle Mountain like literally the next week, 42-7. But Eagle Mountain lost their quarterback early in that Brock game. So and Brock would have still won that game, but the 7 on the end, you can't really control.
Right,
and then on Godley, Benbrook beat Godley 28-14, and of course, 2 weeks ago to begin the playoffs, Brock beat Godley 46-10.
Yeah.
I'm just using those colors.
I still think Brock wins, but I think this could be close. Within 2 touchdowns to the final, but I think Benbrook pushes Brock well into 3 quarters.
I think, and rightfully so, because it's the one game you put eyes on. I think the Graham game has made you think Brock is not completely down, but like
no, it hasn't, because that's how good Graham is.
Yeah, but I also think Brock is closer to Graham than that score indicated, like way closer.
Well, seeing that game on the field.
No, again, that's what I'm saying. I've only seen it on tape, and I saw the same thing you did. I saw Graham just literally, even when Brock lost to Franklin and to Malakoff and to Gunter, we didn't see a Brock offensive line get pushed around like that. Like, people don't understand just how damn good Graham's defense is this year. We're talking historically level, folks.
And what gets lost in that is the Graham's offensive line.
Well, see, I think their defense gets lost in their offense because everybody knows about their quarterback and their running back and their offensive line.
I don't know. A big story's been their defense, though.
Well, yeah, no, now, I agree because of when you're putting up the numbers there. But anyway, we're talking Brock Benbrook. That's why I love our show.
Give me Brock, and I think Brock wins by 2 touchdowns, but this goes, Brock pulls away late. I think Benbrook is big enough up front and good enough up front, and their skilled guys are just good enough to give Brock some problems.
All right, Graham 11-1 versus Glen Rose 10-2. This game is also Friday, 5 p.m. Mineral Wells Realm Stadium. I will say this: we're going to be traveling for right in the middle of this day, and phones will be on games because this is why we love Friday after Thanksgiving. Let me ask you this before we to start this talk: bigger upset potential, Benbrook beating Brock or Glen Rose beating Graham?
Right now, I'm going to say Benbrook beating Brock.
And that's just because that's how good Graham is, because Glen Rose is damn good.
Glen Rose,
we forget about how good they are.
Glen Rose offensively is really damn good, especially with Kanan Evans at quarterback. My gosh. But then you look at Graham's offense against this Glen Rose defense is giving up a plethora of points, right? When Glen Rose took Carthage to the mat, they had a formidable defense, right? Not the best defense, but a defense that was complementary to that Glen Rose offense.
That's the best way to describe it right there. They weren't great.
I don't think they quite have that. Glen Rose can score on anybody, but can they stop the machine? The Ty Thompson at quarterback for Graham, Ryland Mosley, or Monzi, and Harrison Brockway at receiver. I just don't know if they can even slow Graham down, and that Graham defense is good enough for about 4 or 5 stops.
So this to me feels like the game that when every great defense outside of like Dangerfield in 1983, they have a game in the playoffs where a team that's a good offense scores. I think this happens, but I'm like you. At the end of the day, I trust Graham to make 2 stops in the fourth quarter that Glen Rose can't. I see this not, and I do want to credit us.
I think Graham can get home against that offensive line of Glen Rose, though, a few times and put Glen Rose behind the chains enough times, or Glen Rose will only get out of it a few times.
So what do you see the score as?
45-28 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That's how comfortable I am with Graham on both sides of the ball.
I want to give us credit We pat our backs occasionally. You and I literally said, oh, we see the Seminole game, Glen Rose 55-50, and it turned out 52-50. I don't think it's that high, but I think Glen Rose and Graham, I think this is I like the 45. I think this is a 45-42 game.
I don't know. I as good as Glen Rose's offense is, and it is one of the best in Class 4A Division II, I think Graham's defense, again, holds them under 30.
I have no problem with that. I'm just saying, I just feel like this is that one round where that great defense just matches up against the great offense.
Yeah, it could be.
But I still think at the end of the day, Graham makes the stops in the fourth quarter that they need to.
Well, I think it'll be Graham versus Benbrook. You think Graham versus Benbrook or Brock?
Brock.
I'm sorry, we both think
Yeah,
Brock.
I was like, you didn't.
Graham versus Brock.
We both think Graham
in
versus Brock. Yeah, the rematch we thought was going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Region 2. Van versus Sunnyvale. Van with Jackson Moffitt at quarterback, Asher Hawkins at receiver, running back. Sunnyvale, fresh off that nice win over Gilmer.
You know,
where
that
that
had
defensive front for Sunnyvale just dominated at times against that Gilmer offense.
You know my history with Gilmer. That's where when I first started doing, or not, my second year of play-by-play, we were doing a game of the week. We hooked up with Gilmer, took them to a state championship. I have a lot of respect and love for Gilmer. But for Sunnyvale, that had to feel so good because Gilmer, it started out a few years ago where Gilmer was beating them 40-0 in the first round of the playoffs. And then last year, Sunnyvale basically played Gilmer to the point where Sunnyvale should have won that game, but Gilmer made the plays at the end to Sunnyvale finally breaking through. I'm really happy for that program.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be one of those secret, nobody would think of, just a blast of a game. This is a 35-34 type of game, in my opinion.
Well, as my good friend Chris Pacina, who had a kiddo playing for Sunnyvale up until 2 years ago, still follows Sunnyvale, and he was feeling really good about the game, right? The win, and people were like, why are you feeling good about this? Is like because Gilmer, along with Carthage and Pleasant Grove, none of them are the standard.
Yeah.
In this region, and we got over them.
Yeah. No, and by the way, Gilmer was the standard before Carthage was. Gilmer was 5 years ahead of what before
and
Carthage.
Before Pleasant Grove.
And before Pleasant. I mean, you want to, the region got split in 2002. And that's right when Gilmer, and you can make the case Atlanta pulled off one of the best upsets, and then they were so good. But Atlanta, I mean, Gilmer honestly probably should have been 2003, 2004 back-to-back state champs. But they're when you first started talking about how great East Texas football was, and then 3A, you started with Gilmer.
Yeah.
And then Carthage and then Pleasant Grove. But yeah, I mean, that's why
they were and are the standard.
Yeah, and
defending state champs.
Well, and look how many times I know they went through a stretch where they lost, but look how many times even in a downer era for Gilmer, they made the state championship.
Well, even last year at times we were thinking Gilmer was down.
Well, that's why we kept trusting, they'll figure it out. Even though I even said it last week, I didn't feel comfortable picking Gilmer. But I went back to they'll figure it out.
So who do you like in this one, Van or Sunnyvale? Give me Van in a close one.
I hate to pick this one because, again, these are two teams that have been glass ceilinged by the Carthages, the Gilmers, and the Pleasant Groves. I'm going to go with Van. I'm going to go with Van.
I'm going with Van because I think that offensive line is still stout enough.
And I think Jackson Moffitt at quarterback in a region that has a great quarterbacks and doesn't get talked about enough. He's not the biggest dude. He's not 6'4" like their quarterback was a couple years ago.
Keeps the chains moving.
Keeps the chains moving.
We saw that last year against Carthage at times.
Right? And I really like Caden Rowe. One thing, man, Van just seems to pop out 6'4" wide receivers and tight ends right now.
Do they not?
Yeah. And Rowe is one of those. And I just think at the end of the day, they're just too athletic for Sunnyvale. But this is a pick-em game.
Yeah. All right. They will take on the winner of Pleasant Grove and Carthage, being played Friday, 2 o'clock, I believe, at Lobo Stadium in Longview.
How is this? I mean, for some, maybe it's tired of seeing it, but this game doesn't seem to have the buzz that it's had the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know. Mainly probably because Carthage is so good, and they're going to be so good this time.
But I mean, last year they were so good, and I mean, I don't think Pleasant Grove's far off from them now.
Oh, well, I think there's a big divide right now. I think this Carthage is so much different than when we saw them against Kilgore.
Oh yeah, I know that. I don't judge any of that on that.
Look, this Carthage defense is only allowing at most 11 points a game, right? Jet Surratt now at quarterback is very healthy. KJ Edwards, the best running back in 4A, if not
he's
top 5 in all classes.
He doesn't get talked about enough.
No, he
legitimately, because it's Carthage. You know, they're a machine, so you do forget that there are great players and great great seasons and things like that. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, and this defensive front, I mean, good luck trying to run on them, right? Good luck trying to throw on them. I mean, Carthage will win this football game. Pleasant Grove has a tendency to make things closer, though, given the way they play offensively, control the clock. But I just don't think they're going to get enough first downs to really control the clock against this Carthage defense. Give me Carthage. Carthage right now is still the bell cow in 4A Division II.
Give me Pleasant Grove.
What?
I'm not as sold on Carthage as you are this year. And hang on. They were doing it all last year, and they got beat. Great teams do it all year until they get beat.
There's a guy, I think it's Jay Horton.
Yeah, Jay Horton, quarterback. Kai Horton. Yeah.
So keeps posting on Facebook.
Yeah, we love it.
I love it, but he keeps saying I'm picking
he's gotten
them.
confused. Yeah, Jay, it's me.
Yeah, okay.
And let me
so it's Terry, not Grant.
I want everybody to understand.
I keep reading that, and I'm like, where did I pick against
No,
them?
I think, he's got to, it's me. And again, this is not saying Carthage is bad or Carthage is less, but every year when a great team gets beat, they get beat doing everything they don't normally do. Last year, Carthage came into this Pleasant Grove game. They had only given up like 27 points in 7 games, and then Pleasant Grove scored 31 on them.
Carthage was gonna maybe hiccup. I don't think it's gonna be against Pleasant Grove. I think it would be against a
band.
No, like a Graham or
no. I don't disagree with that at all.
I just don't. I don't think anybody. I just don't see anybody challenging them.
And I just don't think Carthage is that dominant this year. I just don't. I don't think.
But look at what they're doing outside of that Kilgore game. They've been pretty dominant.
Yeah, against good teams. Nothing that, and I know Chapel Hill's still playing. In fact, Chapel Hill's the only one that's still playing. Well, Kilgore, and they lost to Kilgore. And I'm not making all, and that's one thing Jay thought you were doing. I'm not basing all this on what Kilgore. In fact, we both came away just as impressed with Carthage as we did Kilgore, because Carthage turned the ball over like 6 times and still only lost by 5 points. I'm just contending that I think Pleasant Grove has gotten way better quicker than what people thought this year. And last year, Pleasant Grove scored 31 of them. We can talk about all the penalties and the controversial calls. I'm not even bringing it up. I'm just going on. It's the playoffs. Weird crap happens in games where these two teams play.
That does happen.
And I'm going with Pleasant Grove. And I know it's an upset, but I don't think it's as big of an upset. But no matter what, I will say this. I don't think Carthage is as dominant this year as other people has. And that's not a knock on them. Just saying.
Okay. Just don't get me confused.
Yeah. Well, unless Pleasant Grove wins,
that happens, then give me the credit. All right. So the next region, Region 3, Sealy versus Gatesville, 7:00 at Green Stadium in Bryan. That stadium's it's kind of like being at a smaller Mesquite Memorial.
Oh, that's a really good comparison, actually.
Yeah. But still, they take care of you.
They were very nice when we saw Hitchcock and Salado there.
Bush's Chicken in the press box, so not bad. Sealy 9-3, Gatesville 7-5. Sealy comes in with Kane Killo at a quarterback. Gatesville with Garrett Keaton at quarterback. Keyshawn Smith at running back, who has ran for about 2,000 yards. Can this Sealy defense? Can they limit Rayshon Smith? I think they can. And
I don't know if they even need to. I think Sealy can just outscore them.
I think they might be able to, but I think this is going to be a darn good game. And who had Gatesville on their bingo card to start the season?
I don't even know if Gatesville's coaches could have told you that, hey, you know what? We're going to be there at Thanksgiving. I mean, now in saying that, and we talked about this last week, their 5 losses, all of them were to good teams that are competitive. They lost to Glen Rose 28-12. And the fact that they held Glen Rose to 28 in week 2, That's kind of impressive.
Yeah.
They lost to Burnett, who at the time, and I found out talking to some friends that Burnett kind of went through some injuries. That's kind of why they started really strong, kind of dovetailed. But they only lost that 23-7. The one that was weird was Lorena, because Lorena was really down this year. But that still was only 21-29. But still, I never saw them beating Madisonville. That's the one big surprise out of it. You know, West Columbia last week.
Madisonville kind of took a
I kind of wonder if they went through some injuries as well.
They were just kind of, yeah.
Maybe
I don't
Columbus
think
beat the crap
Green
out
and
of
those
them.
guys. Yeah, were all 100% healthy.
I kind of wonder if that happened a little bit to Belleville after Columbus. And I know Belleville won some great games after that, but man, they just felt like maybe they just were walking wounded after that. But anyway,
I don't know, Columbus will beat you up. There are a lot of
that's what I'm
like
saying.
Franklin.
I mean, you know, but I like Sealy in this one.
I got Sealy as well, and they'll take on the winner of Silsbee and La Vega. This is Friday in spring at Planet Ford Stadium. Nice stadium, one of the nicest stadiums down there. Silsbee 9-3, La Vega 9-3. La Vega is going to start out with their everything running back and Bryson Rowland, right? And almost impossible to stop. Silsbee, their defense, I'm not going to say it's been porous, but they've given up some points. But offensively, man, Michael Mosier at quarterback, we saw him last year. He is putting up big numbers this year. Jaden Miller at receiver, and then Jacob Johnson at receiver. Two really good receivers for them. Who do you like in this one? This is a good one.
Which Silsbee team are we going to get? We're going to get the Silsbee team that held a Belleville offense to 17 points, or the Silsbee team that gave up 35 to West Orange Stark, or 47 to Jasper, or 42 to Hitchcock. Hitchcock is a great offense. Not saying they're not. I think that's where the game is decided, and I just think La Vega's better. I think this is again.
I think La Vega's better, but I think they're better by only a few points.
Oh, really? Okay.
Most.
I thought.
I think Silsbee's found their stroke.
I can agree with that. Winning 4 in a row right now.
You just kind of find out your identity shows up. Sometimes it shows up and you peak early. Sometimes it shows up and you peak late. I'd rather peak late.
Oh, yeah.
And Silsbee's starting to peak right now. So La Vega on paper should be a 14-point favorite. But I'm telling you, Silsbee right now is not going to be a tough out. Give me La Vega, but I could see Silsbee winning this one. But I'm taking La Vega in a close one.
I've got La Vega 49-21.
Okay.
But I don't disagree with anything you said right there.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, again, we always talk about defining a program. It's not just when you win state. It's when you have a down team and you still win a lot. And that's what Silsbee's done this year. I mean, Silsbee was down and out, lost 3 of 4. I think people forgot how good the teams they were that lost, Hitchcock, Finette, and Stark. But at the end of the day, just like you're saying that about Silsbee finding their stroke, I think La Vega's found their stroke.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
All
you're right.
Let's move on to. Hang on, let me pull it up.
Region 4,
Region
Wimberley
4.
and Cuero.
Yeah, Wimberley and Cuero. Man, this is a matchup of stalwarts in this one. Again, this is one of those games that just is not getting the buzz it deserves. This is Wimberley and freaking Cuero, folks. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, this is a toss-up, right?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the closer ones, in my opinion.
I'm going to go Cuero in a close one, just because I don't know that Wimberley can be multidimensional.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we saw. No, I agree. We saw, and I know it was.
I think Cuero can load the box, put a spy
on Stover.
On Stover, and maybe not shut him down, but really limit his opportunities. I like Cuero in this one, in a close one.
Again, I know people, and me included, we think about Cuero and that Columbus game, and that sits in everybody's mind. But look at what they did after that. Beating a Lavernia team that's still playing, beating a Yoakum team. They did lose to Sinton, but that was a 23-18 game. I mean, it wasn't like that was a blowout by any stretch. I'm like you. I kind of like Cuero in this game.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a 42-41 type of game.
Could be.
Whoever whoever has the ball last, just like a few years ago with these two, whoever has the ball last probably wins it.
All right. They'll take on the winner of Sinton 12-0, Laga Vista 9-3 at Hero Stadium in San Antonio on Friday at 7 o'clock. Give me Sinton, but this could be a close one.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is going to be way closer than what people think. And this is one of those games.
Think Lago Vista has a shot?
Yeah, well, and this is one of those games that's quietly become kind of a little rivalry. Lago Vista beat them a couple years ago, and then Sealy beat them last year.
And this is a better Sinton team than the last 2 years.
Sinton, not Sealy. I think. No, I did. I said Sealy by mistake. I think Lago Vista can keep it close, but I legitimately think Sinton is the class of this region, and so I think at the end of the day, Sinton wins comfortably.
The class they win, but then they get a Cuero team if it's that they had to pull out all the stops to beat too. So
yeah, but
I think they're the region favorite.
Yeah,
but I don't know if they easily get past, and Cuero could win the rematch, but can they get past this one? I think they do.
Yeah, I think this is one of those close for most of the game, but then Sinton just kind of wears them down.
Yeah.
All right. That is going to do it for a Weird 4A show. We do appreciate everybody joining us. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, you can always email them to us, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just go to Sideline to Sideline. Find us on Twitter at Grant and Terry. We also have that new Blue Sky, but that is way too long of a thing to remember at the moment. I'll keep promoting it, though, on our Facebook page. Until next time, or the 3A show, if you're listening to that. He's Grant, I'm Terry, and that's Playoff Tree. And this has been Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, right here on L4 Media.